Supernatural's known for its dark fantasy and sad scenes. There are a lot of sad episodes to watch, but there are also some scenes that really hit you in the feels. The brothers became experts at breaking our hearts in ways that left us in denial about what we just seen. In this video, we'll talk about some of the most emotionally nerve-wracking moments of the show. First off, the finale, when Dean Winchester dies. Even though Dean's death is still a sore spot for many of us, there's no doubt that the finale was full of feelings. This scene took longer than most because it was Sam and Dean's last time together. Dean told Sam that he thought Sam was the better man, and that he was happy to die. He also told Sam that he was free to live his own life without him. In reference to the first episode, Sam told Dean that he couldn't live without him, but Dean assured him that he could. Since this was Dean's final death after being resurrected so many times, the brothers' goodbye had a lot of weight. They hugged each other one last time before Dean died. Even though Dean's death made us feel bad for almost 10 minutes straight, we lost what little emotional stability we had left when the boys got back together in heaven, in their pilot uniforms no less. It just showed how real the end of the series was. And many people, including us, didn't want to say goodbye to our favorite monster hunters who got lost. Up next, when Sam had to kill Madison. Throughout the course of the series, Sam never really got a break, and he had a pattern of tragically losing the people he was interested in romantically. Madison was the most dangerous of them all. Why? Because Sam had to kill her personally, since she was a werewolf and she wanted him to draw the gun. Sam, who was having a difficult time controlling his emotions, was unable to keep his cool as he sadly readied himself to end Madison's life. This caused Dean to shed tears as well, as he saw his brother struggle with the responsibility of carrying out the task. Even though Dean had seen a great number of deaths in the past, the sound of the gunshot was still enough to shake him, followed by when Dean talked to Sam's dead body. Protecting Sam remained Dean's primary goal in life. This never changed despite the fact that Sam was now an adult. After Sam was murdered by Jake, Dean refused to bury him and instead kept his brother's corpse. He was at a loss for what to do with himself now that he had failed in the one thing he'd set out to do throughout his life. As events went on, he progressively and fully lost control of his emotions as he talked to Sam's corpse. He said that with Sam no longer in his life, he no longer had any reason to continue living, which was honestly heartbreaking. It was clear at this moment that Dean had made the decision to sell his soul in order to bring Sam back. He didn't care that he would end up in hell since he was unable to survive in a world without Sam. Moving on to when Sam broke down. The 12th episode of Supernatural's second to last season hit us like we hadn't been hit in the gut in a long time. Dean decided that the only way to save Sam and get the AU Archangel Michael out of his head was to lock himself in an unbreakable coffin at the bottom of the ocean for all of eternity. Sam broke down at the end of Profit and Loss, even though he'd initially agreed to help Dean with his plan, with the youngest Winchester first punching his brother and then falling into his arms in a hug. Watching Sam's words and facial expressions when he thought he might lose his brother again was tough. Next, when the brothers fought each other. Over the years, the boys had their share of fights, punch-ups, and disagreements. There was no question about it. But in the second to last episode of Season 4, they had one of their worst fights. The Winchester brothers had a rough time in Season 4. Sam's addiction to demon blood, betrayal, and keeping secrets was at the center of most fights. It all led to a very violent fight between the two. Dean called Sam a monster when Sam tried to protect Ruby from Dean. Their relationship was already in bad shape. Sam's strength was superhuman when high on demon blood, so he easily knocked Dean down. He even tried to strangle Dean, saying that he's never known him and never will. Dean tells him, "If you walk out that door, don't ever come back." Dean's in pain on the floor. It was painful to watch the boys fight so hard with each other. Not to mention Dean's PTSD from hell. Dean's time in hell not only hurt him physically, but he also had to deal with some emotional suffering as a result. He shut himself off for the first half of Season 4. He didn't want to talk about his time in the pit because he didn't want to bring up painful memories. But everyone's got a breaking point, and his was at the end of the 10th episode. He said that while it may have been 4 months for Sam, it was more like 40 years for him. He also said that for 30 years, he was tortured in ways he couldn't even imagine. And for the last 10 years, he started torturing souls himself. When he finally broke down, he said he wished he couldn't feel anything. Dean's pain, guilt, and emotional turmoil were so strong that they spread to us and left us stunned for a long time. Let's learn more about when Jack had a painful realization. After Jack lost his soul and killed Mary by accident, the Winchesters thought of a way to trap him in the Malak box. Even though Jack had lost most of his feelings, he was still scared and hurt when he found out that the men he had once thought of as his fathers had sealed him away. When Lucifer came to life and made fun of him, Jack realized that Sam and Dean had betrayed him and used his power to get away. Also, Jack was only 2 years old at the time, which means he was just a child when he was going through all this horror. Coming up, the 3 trials of God scene. The main plot of Season 8 was to close the gates of hell for good, and the boys figured out how to do that with the help of Kevin Tran. But when it comes to the supernatural, nothing's ever simple. How much? God wanted 3 tests: to take a bath in the blood of hellhounds, save a good person from hell, and heal a demon. So nothing big, just things that happen every day. At the end of Season 8, there was one hell of a cliffhanger, but that wasn't what fans were shocked by. Dean tells Sam right away when he finds out that if he finishes the trials, Sam will die. But Sam doesn't care about dying and says that his biggest sin was how many times he'd let Dean down. It's one of the most heartbreaking and memorable parts of the Winchester brothers' story, and it can make you cry every time. Next, the Hellhounds coming for Dean. It might be one of the most graphically horrible things that's happened on Supernatural in its 15 years. Dean's time was up after making a deal with a demon to save Sam last season. The Hellhounds had come to take him away. Sam, Dean, and Ruby tried to save the oldest Winchester brother one last time, but it was too late. Unknown to the boys and fans, Lilith had taken over Ruby, which was a shocking turn of events. Ruby, who Lilith possessed, took great pleasure in sending the demon dogs after Dean. Sam can only watch as Dean is torn apart by the Hellhounds. As if that wasn't hard enough to see, the season ended with a gut-punching cliffhanger. Sam was helpless as he held his brother Dean, and Dean was bloody and beat up as he screamed for Sam while he was being hung up in hell. Finally, the power struggle between Sam and Lucifer. People continue to rank the Season 5 finale as the show's finest episode. Why? Because the conclusion of that episode focuses on the relationship between Sam and Dean Winchester. At this particular moment, Sam was able to free himself from Lucifer's captivity when he was reminded of his love for Dean, as all the memories of their life came flooding back to him at once. Even after Lucifer had battered Dean into a bloody pulp, Dean's optimism that Sam would return was unshaken, despite the fact that Lucifer had severely injured Dean. Dean was left in shambles by the discovery that Sam had apparently vanished for good, and that he'd been the one to rescue Dean and the world by sacrificing himself and defeating Lucifer. That's a wrap for this video. Which of these moments broke your heart the most? Do the Winchester brothers move you emotionally? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.